absolutely most profound truths about human psychology and our relationships aren't buried in massive, heavy textbooks. No, they're actually hidden right in plain sight within just a few short lines of a simple story. Today, we're going to carefully unpack a deeply emotional microstory about memory, loss, and the honestly hidden depths of parental love. We're going to look at childhood observation, the blink and you miss it passage of time, and how a single, everyday object can literally hold a monumental amount of emotional weight. If you've ever looked back at a fuzzy childhood memory and suddenly understood it in a completely new adult light, well, this one is going to resonate deeply with you for sure. Let's get right into it. Okay, so let's dive right into the middle of a childhood mystery. The story kicks off with a very specific, recurring dessert routine. Think back to when you were young. Every time they had dessert, there was always one piece left. For a kid, right, household routines are kind of their entire universe. It's a world built entirely on predictable patterns. And in this particular household, the pattern was simply that the mother never ever took that final piece of dessert. It's a tiny detail, but we humans are pattern-seeking creatures. The child notices this recurring gap in the pattern, which leads to that inevitable super innocent question. Why don't you ever eat the last one? This question really represents that crucial moment of curiosity we all have, where we actively try to make sense of the behaviors of the people closest to us. And this brilliantly illustrates the innocent, honestly, kind of flawed logic of a child's worldview compared to the profound reality of what's actually happening. A kid might just look at that and assume, oh, mom just didn't like sweets. They operate from a totally literal viewpoint, right? Like if they themselves love sweets, then anyone avoiding them must literally just hate the taste. They completely lack the adult context to comprehend self-deprivation. But the hidden truth here is vastly different. Her response, I'm saving it for you, isn't about her taste buds at all. It is a deliberate, conscious act of restriction so her child can experience abundance. It's a beautiful representation of how two people can experience the exact same moment and understand it in completely different ways, all based on their capacity to grasp sacrifice. Now, what's really fascinating here is the specific colloquialism she uses, beta. This is the term of endearment that totally anchors the story and highlights the selfless, intimate affection of the mother. In South Asian cultures, beta literally translates to son, but it's used as this warm, all-encompassing term of endearment for any child. This single word basically acts as a linguistic hug. It signifies safety, belonging, and the absolute unconditional nature of the mother's act. She isn't saving that sweet out of some begrudging obligation. She is doing it as a quiet, daily celebration of her love. It reminds us that love is so often communicated not through, grand movie-style declarations, but through the everyday vernacular of our homes and our daily habits.
So let's see how this builds, bridging the gap between the warmth of those childhood desserts and the stark, unstoppable passage of time into adulthood. We move from a recurring childhood habit to a specific question to this dramatic leap years later. Literally, in just a few words, an entire lifetime passes by. And this perfectly mimics how we actually experience memory. We don't remember days, we remember feelings, right? We remember the feeling of the kitchen, the taste of the dessert, until suddenly, boom, we're adults confronting a very different reality. This leap pulls us right out of the comfortable nostalgia of the past and drops us directly into the present day, setting the stage for a seriously powerful realization.
The narrator physically returns to the routine, opening the fridge to find the exact same physical scenario as their childhood. I mean, think about muscle memory for a second. Think about how many times you absent-mindedly open the refrigerator in any given week. It is a completely mundane, automatic action. But here, the fridge acts like a giant time capsule. The last sweet was still there. The tangible evidence of the mother's love was still physically present, exactly where it had always been left, offering this brief, super comforting illusion that absolutely nothing had changed. For a split second, it's like the past and the present are perfectly aligned, and the whole routine is beautifully intact.
But then, the crucial point is this devastating forward realization. A totally stark and empty moment where that comforting routine clashes with the tragic permanence of loss. But this time, she wasn't. The sweet is sitting right there, but the creator of the tradition is gone. This is the precise, heartbreaking moment of transition from a child who assumes things to an adult who finally understands reality. The real impact comes from the sudden, jarring absence of the person who made the world feel safe. It forces us to recognize that the quiet sacrifices made for us often go completely unappreciated until the person making them is no longer there.
Which brings us to the core of this explainer, distilling the entire narrative down to the ultimate realization. The uneaten sweet was literally never about dessert. It was about prioritization. A mother's love always chooses her child first. This elevates a highly specific personal anecdote into practically a universal law of parental psychology. The last suite is just a metaphor, right? It's a metaphor for resources, for time, energy, and comfort. Parents are constantly operating in this state of quiet, voluntary depletion just so that their children can experience a surplus. The tragedy, and honestly, the beauty of this realization, is that it requires maturity to actually see it. As kids, we take this love completely for granted, gobbling up the last sweet without a second thought. But as adults, looking back, the sheer magnitude of that selflessness becomes blindingly clear. Because of this, the author pivots directly to us with an urgent, imperative call to action. If your mom is still with you, hug her today. This isn't just fluffy, sentimental advice, it's a vital correction for all of us. It urges us to close that gap between childhood ignorance and adult appreciation right now, in the present tense, rather than waiting for a moment of grief staring into an open refrigerator. It is a massive reminder that gratitude should absolutely never be a retroactive emotion. We're being challenged to apply this profound realization to our own immediate lives, turning a poignant story into a real catalyst for immediate positive action. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a vital, inward-facing question to ponder about the unseen, everyday acts of love in your own life. What quiet sacrifices are the people you love making for you right now? We've explored a mother's sacrifice today, but this concept ripples out into all of our deep connections. Whether it's a partner, a parent, a close friend, or a mentor, someone in your life is likely leaving the proverbial last sweet for you right at this very moment. Someone is quietly absorbing a stressor, holding back a complaint, or giving up a small comfort just so your day can be a little bit brighter. So take a look around your life today. Really try to spot those hidden sacrifices, because I promise you, once you learn to see them, the whole world looks entirely different. Thanks for joining me.